In 1219, the Templars professed their obedience to a papal legate when he headed an expeditionary force against Damascus. However, the knights disobeyed his orders and acted on their own. When King Frederick II of Sicily undertook his first crusade to Egypt, the Templars conspired with the Sultan so that his campaign was a failure. The king retaliated by seizing the Templars' estates in Italy and Sicily, and they duly responded by dispossessing the Teutonic Knights, founded by Frederick, of their estates in Syria. That again is from The Occult Conspiracy, The Power of Secret Societies in World History by Michael Howard. So, a very interesting read. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. As some of you are aware from my last video, I did do a bullhorning in front of the Pittsburgh branch of the Federal Reserve. I did this from noon to 3 o'clock. I took an hour break and then again from 4 to 5:30. Generally, I think my activities were well received. I got a lot of thumbs up from people going by, and I noticed people who were waiting for buses and stuff were actually watching me, seemed to be interested in what I was saying. A lot of what I talked about was issues that I talk about on my YouTube videos, minus the use of profanity, of course, but talking about the Federal Reserve and how banks are able to get virtually unlimited funding from the Federal Reserve. So if they ever need money to cover themselves or whatever, they can get whatever they need. Also emphasizing the fact that corporations pay very little in income tax when compared to the individuals who were walking around on the street. I think my future efforts in this direction, because I think this is a very good idea to do, will be to target representatives and senators' offices within my city and bullhorn them about their lack of doing anything substantial to help individuals and families in this country when it comes to the economic collapse, which was precipitated by the banks. I think things now have gotten to a point where they're even worse than we could ever have imagined. I mean, when we see congressmen who actually do take the time to sit down with their constituents, act in such a hideous manner of condescension and outright disdain for people's legitimate questions and comments regarding their activities on our behalf. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. But one good thing about it is that it illustrates the total disconnect between Congress and the constituency that put them into office. It is absolutely clear now, more so than it ever has been, that if your representatives ever did represent you, they don't anymore. They serve special interests, and they serve whatever group gives them the most money. Now, when it comes to looking at the issues right now, you see what's happening in Congress. There's the financial overhaul, the financial reform, if you want to use that word, which is so totally inept to describe what this is, which is stalled. And it's stalled, and what are they doing to try to get the votes that they need to pass this measure, which already, prior to this, whenever it was finalized, was completely useless to protect consumers and did absolutely nothing to curb derivatives and other exotic instrument transactions, which led to the collapse of 2008 and which will inevitably lead to another one. What are they doing to try to advance this to get the votes that they fucking need? They're dropping more and more provisions from it, so that there is less regulation, less oversight. So finally, when this bill is passed, which it will be at some point, it will be a complete ghost of what it should fucking be, and a complete and utter joke. And of course, I'm sure many of you have seen Kagan's confirmation hearings. I've never seen a more unqualified candidate for any position, let alone the Supreme Court. And of course, there was virtually no opposition. And it looks like she's going to be confirmed without any problem whatsoever. Now, if the radical right wing in Congress really wanted to do something effective, instead of wasting their time filibustering a fucking extension for unemployment benefits for people in this country who are suffering at the hands of an economic catastrophe that was precipitated by fucking banks and finance institutions, why aren't they filibustering the appointment of someone who has no fucking business being on the fucking Supreme Court? That should tell you where their fucking priorities are. So, what's left? I don't know what to tell you, because obviously, as I said before, writing and phoning does absolutely nothing, and apparently even going to town hall meetings and seeing your representative in person is not going to do anything. I think describing a litany of crimes and shortcomings of your representatives via bullhorn outside their offices on a semi-regular basis, which is about as much as I can do, might have some effect to guilt them into doing something that would address issues of real concern in this country. And instead of talking about increasing taxes in some other way, why don't we talk about a bank transaction tax? I mean, I talked about that during my bullhorning of the Federal Reserve. I illustrated how simple it would be, how much money could be generated from it, and instead, what do? They target people, because this is what this entire administration is about. It's about destroying the middle class. It's about continuing the globalization process. It's about enacting more free trade agreements, about allowing corporations to continue their greedy, rapacious ways. It's about continuing to allow banks and investment companies to invest in risky investments with our money. It's about allowing them to get unlimited funding from the Federal Reserve in order to invest in risky investments and not give out loans to people. Everything that is being done in a systematic way to attack the middle class and to further destroy the entire base of this country and everything that it has ever stood for. Whatever you can do to fight against it, I guess you have to. You have to do whatever you're physically capable of doing to fight against it and to try and stop it in some way, or at least slow it down. Throw a wrench into the works, something. So maybe if some of you will also join in and start targeting your representatives and your senators and bullhorn in front of their offices, make sure you describe a litany of all of the things that they have failed to do, all of the things that they are pushing for, which would mean less for you and more for corporations. Maybe there might be a few of them that might have some little scrap of humanity left in them that hasn't been bought off. Maybe some of them have a measure of compassion left within them for individuals and families in this country who are suffering. That's what my hope is, and maybe through massive action in that direction we can get them to actually do something. That's my report. Thank you. Good day.